My husband is on the verge of joining pigeon racing. I asked him if they pay to join, and he said they pay an annual fee for the entire year. They would be winning cash trophies and so on. Tell me whether this is haram or not.
This is an interesting question, and I probably will get a lot of flack for answering this question in this way, because the idea is that people consider the reason the question is being asked is because there's a consideration if this is gambling.
Yeah.
That's what I assume, because now you are going to open the door for so many things, and I don't want anybody listening to think that I'm opening the door for anything else. Right, I'm not opening the door for different ideas or different gambling. So the one is, so I've been asking myself this question also for a long time, and there's different opinions. If there is if there is gharar involved, if there is deception, and if there is like uncertainty, if it's completely on chance, right, then it is considered gambling. Like throwing of lots or the dice or something like this. But then the question comes in, if you are doing a skill, right? If you are doing a skill and you are racing for a prize, let's say you are racing for a prize, because now someone who races horses will say, but so the argument that I find, the most compelling argument I find from the ulama on this regard is that, first of all, it is gambling if you have no involvement in the matter. If you've got nothing to do with the outcome of the matter. So, for example, there are horses racing and there are horse races. The jockeys are sitting on the horse. I'm sitting in my lounge and I'm placing a bet on which horse will win. I have no involvement in the outcome of that race. That is gambling, clearly. But someone will ask, if you have your car and I have my car and we race to see whose car is faster and the winner wins a prize at the end, is that also gambling while I am relying upon my skill to race and you are relying on your skill to race, but we want to challenge whose skill is better? Is this gambling or not gambling? And this is a difficult question to answer, because if I say now to people, yeah, it's fine, everybody will be like, no, the Imam on the radio said, no, you can gamble, it's fine. It's not as simple as just as that. You've also got to ask yourself inside, is this about your ability or is this completely according to chance? Are you getting into a vehicle that you know, or is it some random kind of thing that you're doing? Is there an element of skill involved? Is there no element of skill involved? How much of this is dependent on chance and how much? Because let me give you an example. If we're going to have a cricket tournament, now just think about it. We have a cricket tournament, there are 10 teams. Everybody's going to pay 500 Rand to enter the tournament. The organizers taking those 500 Rand, part of it they're using to book the venue and whatever the case is, and part of it they buy a trophy. Now they buy the trophy, right? They buy the trophy, and all of us cricket teams, we play and we win the trophy. Essentially, they used our money that we have put down between us to win a trophy. Is this gambling or is this not gambling? And many scholars say that it was not gambling. Number one. Number two is, it's also not if the prize money comes from an outside source. So, for example, if you have a competition of some sort and there is a sponsor for that competition and the prize is sponsored. So, in other words, they are not using the money that you use for entry fee. That makes it a bit clearer. If you're not using the money that you use for entry fee, but there's a sponsor. Someone says, look, I'm giving a prize to the person who comes first in this race. It's an external sponsor of the prize, then there is no gambling involved, and then it's more clear in that instance that it is not gambling. It's simply 2 people, 3 people, 10 people, whatever, racing for a particular prize, and the prize money comes from outside. And Allah knows best about it. I hope it's not as clear as people would like it to be, because there can still be many questions. But like I said, I have to be very careful about how I answer that question, because there are so many variables that will be playing in people's minds now that if I answer it in a way, they'll think about what about that, what about that, what about that. And if I answer it too directly to one thing, it may cause a conflict in another situation. You understand? So I'm trying to be as general and as open-ended with this answer as possible, so that people get an idea. First of all, there are just a few basic things you need to know. Are you involved in the sport or whatever the case is? Did you contribute? Is your money contributing to the prize of that sport? And also, or is there a sponsor to the prize of that sport? So if your husband is getting into pigeon racing, for example, to answer the lady directly, if you're getting into pigeon racing and there are sponsors or there are people putting prize, we can't the question is not clear to say that they are using the registration fee to purchase they may be using it to sustain the organization that does the pigeons, whatever, I don't know.
Because they pay an annual fee.
Yeah, they pay an annual fee. So they may be using it to keep I don't know, does the club have an office? Must they pay the electricity? Must they pay the water bill? Whatever the case is. And how are they getting the prize, the cash prizes or whatever prize? How are they getting these prizes? Is it an external sponsor? Those are variables, but I try to... That's directly the answer to that question because there's not enough information in that question. But it also... I understand where that question comes from. That's why I'm giving such a broad answer, because I see in other sports, I play some sports, and sometimes there's an administration, a fee to play, that everybody puts their fee to say that, okay, we're going to buy a prize out of this. Is that prize halal or is that prize haram? And based on the research that I've done in this particular instance, now I'm not going to say it's for everything, they said that, look, as if it's your skill involved, then it should be fine. And you are involved. You're not placing your bet on an external party.
Okay. But just one question. So if your skill is not involved, does it then...
Then it's scam, because then it's chance. There's no skill involved in it.